Good evening, everybody. I am Councillor Dale Broughton, Leader of the Council and Chairman of the Cabinet. To my left is Councillor Mike Gilbert, Deputy Leader of the Council and Vice Chairman of Cabinet. Before we start the meeting, I need to run through a few housekeeping details. I'd like to remind everyone in attendance this evening that this meeting is being recorded and live streamed on YouTube. Please also ensure when you're addressing this meeting that you do so through the microphone system at all times. Please also ensure that you're speaking to the microphone as closely and as clearly as possible. Mobile phones should be turned off or switched to silent mode. Restroom facilities are available for ladies on this floor and halfway down the main stairwell for gentlemen. In the event of a fire alarm sounding, officers will escort everybody out of the building to the nearest fire safety point in the car park. Members of the public are free to leave the meeting at any time. Please raise your hand if you wish to leave, and please be patient whilst a member of security comes to collect you. Finally, please be advised that abuse or intimidation of any kind will not be tolerated. Any disturbance will result in the meeting being adjourned. Anyone who is deemed to breach these requirements will be warned and asked to refrain. And if the behaviour persists, they will be required to leave the meeting. Now we'll move to part one of the agenda, the preliminaries. Are there any apologies?
Apologies have been received from Councillor Claire Rylett.
Thank you, Amanda. Does any member wish to declare any interest in respect of any items on the agenda? Do I have permission to sign the minutes of the Cabinet meeting held on the 7th of May 2025 and the special Cabinet meeting held on the 31st of July 2025? Yeah. Are there any questions from members of the public received 2 clear working days prior to this meeting?
There are none for this meeting.
Thank you, Amanda. Now, we will now move to part 2 of the agenda items. Recommendations from overview and scrutiny. Are there any recommendations from the overview and scrutiny committees for this meeting?
There are none.
Are there any recommendations from BTAC?
There are none.
Thank you. Well, we'll now move to the third item on the agenda. Is the Quarter 1 25-26 Performance and Risk Report, which starts on page 15 of your agenda pack. This is my report, so I will present and propose the recommendation. This quarterly report provides an update on performance and risk for Boston Borough Council as at the end of June 2025. The report covers key performance indicators, strategic and operational risks, and highlights any significant changes or issues for Cabinet's attention. Regarding performance, there are no major concerns have been flagged in overall performance. Household waste recycled and composted remains below target. However, this is a nationally set target that continues to be challenging for Boston and many other councils. The recycling and composting rates are expected to improve with the implementation of food waste collections and operational changes being led by Victoria Burgess's team. Although this is a red KPI, members are already aware of the significant work underway, so this is a watch this space situation rather than a cause for alarm. The report highlights a couple of risk changes, but none are identified as critical. All risks have robust mitigations and are on track to meet their reduction targets. The new risk is the BBC server room. A new risk has been added regarding the BBC server room. See page 23 of the risk. The risk was put forward by ICT and relates to the need for upgrades or potential relocation of the server room. Funding for this was previously agreed, but the project was halted. Unclear if the risk has now been formally identified, likely to see Cabinet steer on whether to revive the project. So overall, the summary, performance is stable overall. Waste remains a challenge, but is being addressed. There's no critical risks. The new server room risk may require Cabinet direction. The report is clear that mitigations are in place and that the Council is proactively managing both performance and risk. There I recommend that the Cabinet notes the quarterly performance and risk monitoring information for Q1 of 2025-26, and I'm looking for a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Baxter. Are there any questions on this report? Councillor Butler.
Thank you, Chair. Not so much of a question, more just of a comment, really. The council run stall occupancy level in Q1 last year was 68.5%. This year's at 71%. I'm pleased to see that that's improving and also improving month on month, quarter on quarter, sorry. I think that all the work that's gone into the makers and craft market that we have at the last Saturday of a month is starting to pay dividend. And not only that, on our regular markets, we're seeing a more varied type of stall come into the market, which is also pleasing to see.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Butler. Both myself and Councillor Gilbert's had a meeting this afternoon with the markets manager, and some stats that we've just been given from him this afternoon. The Facebook views on the Boston market site has been 169,000 in 28 days. There's been a new post go out advertising for gaps in the market, and we've had 18 applications in the last 2 weeks, including two traders coming from Nottingham. So obviously, the social media side is actually really working. New traders include a shoe and trainers, a new flower trader, barista coffee, crystals, gifts. And again, Boston market is definitely improving. The managers really made a big difference. And obviously, as you mentioned, the Boston makers market has gone from strength to strength. Every month it's been sold out this year. And that's something we're looking at carrying on next year. Any more questions? Right, we will now move to the vote. So all those in favour? Clearly carried, thank you. Item 4 on the agenda is the 2025-26 Q1 finance update, which starts on page 55 of the agenda pack. Councillor Gosh, would you like to present and propose the recommendations?
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, everyone. As members are aware, quarterly monitoring reports are produced throughout the year, forecasting the expected year-end outturn against the approved budget. This report presents the position at Q1 for the financial year ending 31st of March 26. Regarding the revenue outturn, the draft Q1 position forecast a net deficit of £829,000 at year-end. I would like to draw Cabinet's attention to several key issues. Salary efficiencies. The main driver of the deficit is the shortfall in achieving targeted salary savings. Service managers are actively reviewing forecasts and identifying opportunities to deliver efficiencies. Regarding the investment income, the 25-26 budget assumed net investment income of 1.721 million. The Q1 forecast is 1.934 million, delivering an overachievement of £213,000. Regarding the internal drainage board, the government announced an additional 5 million nationally during 25-26 to support councils significantly impacted by IDB levies. Boston Borough Council share was £654,000, which is reflected within the outturn figures at Appendix A, Table 1. As a result, the corporate efficiency has reduced accordingly. You can see that Appendix A, Table 2. Members will recall that the 25-26 budget includes an overall savings and efficiency target of 1.429 million. Of this, 760,000, roughly 53%, has been identified to date, leaving a balance of £669,000 still to be secured. If the current investment income overachievement is committed against this target, the outstanding requirement would reduce by a further £213,000. Regarding the treasury management, alongside the improved investment performance on 30th of June 25, negotiations were underway to repay the State Street Lobo loan early on preferential terms, replacing it with borrowing from the Public Works Loan Board at a lower rate. I am pleased to confirm that this loan was repaid during Q2. Full financial details will be reported in the next quarterly update. Appendix B, Table 1 sets out all capital schemes with their forecast positions. Following proposed amendments totaling £201,000, which is detailed in Table 3. The revised capital program for 25-26 is £38 million, roughly. Forecast expenditure is 37 million, resulting in a projected underspend of £921,000. So the recommendations are to the cabinet is the Q1 forecast revenue position of £829,000 overspent for 25-26, and the continuing need to focus on delivery of the savings and efficiency program, and approve the amendments to the capital program and at Appendix B, Table 3, taking into account the changes set out in this report. Thank you.
We a seconder. Councillor Butler. Are there any questions on this report? No. I'd just like to add, just like to thank you and all your team, Councillor Gosh, for all the hard work you're doing on this, especially as well regarding the IDBs. I know I was lucky enough to go with you a couple of weeks ago to the House of Commons. Obviously, the partnership have all been working really hard, trying to get more and more MPs engaged. So well done to you and your team on all this work. So we'll now move to the vote. All those in favour? Clearly carried. Thank you. The fifth agenda item is the Local Council Tax Support Scheme 2026-27 consultation, which starts on page 75 of the agenda pack. Again, Councillor Gosh, would you like to present and propose the recommendations?
Thank you, Chair. And good evening again, everyone. By way of background, since 2013, billing authorities have been required to develop local council tax support scheme to assist low-income working age households. Prior to this, support was provided through a national council tax benefit scheme, which was delivered by councils but based on rules set by central government. The government continues to prescribe the scheme for pensioners who may receive up to 100% support. Councils have no discretion in this area. Accordingly, this report focuses on the scheme for working age claimants. Each year, the council must review its working age council tax support scheme and consult with major precepting authorities and other interested parties on any proposals for the forthcoming year. Schemes cannot be changed mid-year. So the current scheme is up to 100% support for households with children and up to 85% support for other working age households. Scheme expenditure in 25-26 is forecast at around £4.9 million, of which over £2.6 million support low-income working age claimants. The cost of the scheme is shared between the major precepting authorities, with this council meeting around 13% of the total. You can see refer section 2.2. So scheme options for consultations are the council is facing significant challenges in achieving a balanced budget for 26-27. Although the original intention was to reassess the scheme after a full financial year of operation, this review has been brought forward so that options can be considered alongside the council's wider saving proposals. Council tax support scheme must be affordable. 3 options are therefore set out in section 4.3 of this report. The option 1 is retain the current maximum support, which is 100% for households with children and 85% for other households, which is retaining the current scheme with savings to be found elsewhere. The option 2 is reduce the maximum level of support to 90% for lone parents, 80% for couples with children and 75% for all other households. And the option 3 is reduce the maximum level of support to 90% for lone parents, 80% for couples with children and 70% for all other households. Turning to the recommendations, Cabinet is asked to agree to consult on the 3 options outlined and delegate approval of the consultation approach to the 151 officer in consultation with myself as a portfolio holder for finance. Members are reminded that this report is not about deciding the final scheme. A further report, including the outcome of the consultation, will be brought back to Cabinet before a final recommendation is made to full council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ghost. Have we got a seconder? Councillor Gilbert, thank you. I would just like to say, obviously, this is a really important part of going forward, and this consultation really does affect so many people in our town. So please, people watching the live stream tonight, please do go to the consultation, fill it in. The more we get, obviously, we need this happening. So any questions? Councillor Gilbert.
I'd just like to add, that this does put the council in a somewhat invidious position, because we have to try and balance the needs of our vulnerable communities with the needs of the wider community, the wider council tax-paying community. So it is very important that we get a very wide consultation on this issue, because it does affect so many different people in a number of different ways. So I'd urge everybody who is listening online to look at following Councillor Broughton's advice, and please do the consultation.
Thank you, Councillor Gilbert. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Yep, Councillor Staples.
Yeah, I just wondered, are you going to engage with parish councils on this and get them to help with the consultation?
Yeah, it's a good suggestion. We can definitely go for it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Obviously, this will be a borough consultation, so obviously parishes do need to be involved. So, right, we'll move to the vote. All those in favour? Clearly carried again. Thank you. The next agenda item is the Equality, Diversity and Inclusion Strategy, which starts on page 83 of the agenda pack. Again, this is my report, so I'll present and propose the recommendation. This strategy sets out a clear framework to ensure our services are fair, accessible and inclusive for all residents and staff. It aligns with our legal duties under the Equality Act 2010 and the Public Sector Equality Duty, and it responds to feedback from the LGAP challenge and developed after consultation with staff, councillors and community partners, including Links Digital, Citizens Advice and Shine. The approach is built around 4 key objectives, which in summary are around understanding our communities, inclusive leadership, accessible services and a diverse workforce. It includes a high-level action plan supported by a 2-year fixed-term post to drive delivery, included as part of the recommendation. The strategy has been supported by the Overview and Scrutiny Committee, and I'd like to extend a thank you for their input, which has helped to shape the final approach. It's set to be a partnership strategy and has also been supported by the scrutiny committees at both South Holland and East Lindsey. The governance arrangements means the implementation of the strategy and action plan will be overseen by an equalities board with regular feedback to the portfolio holder and senior leadership team. Therefore, the recommendation is to approve the Equality, Diversity and Inclusion Strategy and Action Plan at Appendices A and B, and to contribute to a 2-year fixed-term officer role to provide expertise and to oversee the implementation of the high-level action plan. I'll look for a seconder. Councillor Ghosh, is there any questions on this report? No? Right. We'll now move to the vote then. So all those in favour? Against? 1. No abstentions. That's clearly carried. Thank you. Right, we now move to item 7 on the agenda. The 7th item is the South and East Lincolnshire Council's Partnership Body-worn Video Policy 2025, which starts on page 113 of the agenda pack. Again, this is my report, so I will present and propose the recommendation. Body-worn video cameras can be a useful tool for council officers whose role involves gathering evidence in pursuit of enforcement responsibilities, and also as a deterrent to abuse and aggression in settings where conflict may be encountered. The use of these devices is highly regulated in order to protect our citizens' human rights and civil liberties, and to ensure personal data gathered on these devices is securely managed. Organisations seeking to employ body-worn video must have policies in place to ensure compliance with regulations and with guidance issued by regulators. This new policy will sit alongside our partnership RIPA policy approved by Cabinet last year. The policy ensures body-worn video is only used by trained staff in circumstances where it is lawful, proportionate, legitimate and necessary. It sets out roles and responsibilities, provides staff with procedures for managing of video evidence, and ensure data is stored, retained, reproduced and disposed of appropriately. Overview scrutinised the policy at their meeting on the 17th of July this year and offered their full support without amendment. The chairman noted the policy is another example of effective partnership working and endorsing its submission to Cabinet for approval. Therefore, in this report this evening, there are two recommendations for which I am seeking your approval. The first is that Cabinet consider the report, policy and any feedback from the Overview and Scrutiny Committee held on the 17th of July and approve the body-worn video policy, and that the Assistant Director, Regulatory Senior Responsible Officer, in consultation with the portfolio holder, be given delegated authority to make such amendments to this policy as may from time to time be required, in order to reference any links or amended links to other documents as may be required, and reflect any issues over which the Council has no discretion, including but not limited to references to any legislative changes and amended guidance. Any material amendments to this policy will be subject to the usual approval process in line with the Constitution. And I'll now look for a seconder. Councillor Sharp, thank you. And any questions on this report? No? Okay, we'll now move to the vote. All those in favour? Clearly carried. Thank you. We'll move on to the final item this evening, and is the South and East Lincolnshire Council's crowdfunding scheme 2-year progress report, which starts on page 141 of the agenda pack. Councillor Staples, would you like to present and propose the recommendations?
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is a 2-year progress report on our crowdfunding scheme, which is known as the South and East Lincolnshire Council's Crowd. The South and East Lincolnshire crowdfunding scheme, launched in spring 2023, the innovative platform enables community groups to raise funds for their projects, fostering community involvement from the outset. Without the buy-in and the contributions from the community, these projects would not be able to proceed. Currently, projects are eligible for up to £5,000 from the Boston Pot, while also crowdfunding for the remainder of their project costs. As set out in the report, the scheme has supported 15 projects across the partnership, with a total value of £149,887, of which £77,117 has been contributed by the crowd. This demonstrates a strong return on the investment. As you will see, looking at the impact report, the scheme has performed well against its original targets and outcomes that were set out, and overall achievements of the scheme, including improvements to community buildings, new events, increased community engagement, and an increase in volunteer opportunities. Boston Funding Pot is exceeding the financial target set out, with a return of £4 from the crowd for every pound the council contributes. The target was £3 for every pound the council contributes. Boston has seen a number of successful projects over the past 2 years: cultural events, improvements to Vidal House, Taste It Lincolnshire, arts theatre production, and community growers project. Further details of these and all the successful projects can be found in the attached impact report in Appendix A. These are the main points of the report, but I'm happy to take any questions that you may have.
Thanks, Councillor Staples. Do we have a seconder for this report? Councillor Mountain. All right, have we got any questions? Councillor Butler.
Thank you, Chair. Not so much well, it is a question, I suppose. I just think maybe we need to advertise this a bit more as well. So is there anything we can do to push this further so that more people can benefit from it? Thank you.
Yes, I was thinking about that myself. I think probably we do need to do, because it is such a wonderful scheme. I'm just really wondering if next week at the Big Boston Coffee morning, whether there'll be a chance to sort of push it there, perhaps. Emily?
Chairman, if I may assist, yes, we certainly can provide some information and support the event. But the team has also put forward quite a bit of a plan in terms of the promotion of this over the next year. And as you're all aware, the new team, the new Communities and Housing Services team, will provide the important resource to really push this in the next round. So thank you very much for your question.
Councillor Gilbert.
Yeah, I'd just like to sort of add, really following on from the comments that Councillor Butler's made and Councillor Staples. I mean, this is a really impressive document, and the figures raised are incredibly impressive. You know, surprisingly good. It's helping, I think, this project to bring down the long-standing distinction between the council and our local communities. And that's something which we will continue to try and encourage. But this is a very impressive first step on that way.
Thank you, Councillor Gilbert. I mean, that's certainly my aim, is to work with the communities. And
Any other questions? No? Again, I'd just like to echo what Councillor Gilbert has said. This is some of these numbers are quite breathtaking, really, for bearing in mind how the country is really struggling at the moment. Like 32 backers for obviously the Lithuanian community group raised £8,654, and also Fidel House was 35 backers for 22,000. These are really good numbers for like community groups, and again, you have my full support for pushing this forward. So please keep up the good work. We'll now move on to the vote. So all those in favour? Clearly carried again.